it's incredible that that bill was passed. I think then that it's on individual universities and student movements to make sure that we're holding universities accountable, and not only like making sure that those policies exist, but that they're keeping the spirit of the like initial policy, and that they're not just like, so like a lot of universities have done this thing where they've attached sexual violence to their already existing policies of like academic transgressions. So you'll have things like sexual violence being treated in the same way that plagiarism is being treated, which is obviously really ridiculous. So I think it's not only about making sure that there are policies that exist and that they're good and robust standalone policies, but they're policies that we can be proud of as students and that actually work for us and actually hold individuals accountable, but also hold institutions accountable, right? Like it's about making sure that like students and TAs and teachers and anyone who's on a campus is protected by policies, and moreover that they're like working in service for us, as we understand that universities are inherently places that create power imbalances. So like if there's a student or a TA that is experiencing ongoing sexual violence at the hands of a professor, that we have institutional accountability. If there's a student that has experienced sexual violence from another student in their class, they don't have to write an exam in the same room as them. Like I think oftentimes we don't think about the ways that like universities number one, enshrine power imbalance, but number two, force people to like live in very close proximity with other people that they otherwise never would have interacted with, and making sure that people's lives aren't disrupted and aren't ruined because of something that they didn't ask for to happen to them in the first place. Have stayed silent because the very first people they told didn't believe them or denied their experiences or didn't react in a way that was like validating. And I think that like it can teach us that we need to be better friends, that when someone tells us that they've been assaulted, when someone tells us that it was a friend of ours, or it was a family member, or it was someone that they trusted, that we trust them first, and that our immediate response isn't denial, but it's like validation and respect and care. I think there was a lot of things that were still disregarded in the first draft, which is why it has to be like reassessed and why it has to be created again and made sure that it does more for students. I think that number one, policy should always just be in the habit of facing criticism so that they can be better. I don't think we should ever think of policy as perfect or complete, because we're always going to miss stories, we're always going to miss voices, we're always going to miss a level of representation. And I think people should be open to changing policies as they understand in ways that it's failing. But beyond that, I think that like that mandate was absolutely a first step, because I think that was just like the provincial government acknowledging that sexual violence existed on campuses. I think now it's up to campuses and universities and like students to make sure that the right like institutional and like cultural practices are in place to actually do something about it.